four presenters, Shengyun Wang, Cheng Yang, Pamela, and Van Sauda. Because you have already got late, let's start with the first presenter, Shengyun Wang, who is going to talk to us about ecological and perceptual factors shaping age-friendly quality in rural public places. It's over to you. All right, we can see your presentation. Go to your presentation mode. Yep. You're fine now.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Wang Xiaoyun, and today I will present our study on ecological and perceptual Philippine aging-friendly rural public space. My team also include Professor Alam Hamisni from UITM, Professor Bo Zhang from SDYU China, and Dr. Xuan Li from UCSI. First, background and significance. Rural China is rapid aging, and public space are becoming essential for elderly social interaction and well-being. However, existing studies focus mainly on infectious, biological, and perceptual mechanisms remain under explored. Next is the lecture and drawing. Provision study highlight the impression of ecological quality and spatial perception, but like systemical modeling. This study integration environmental behavior theory, reflective environmental theory, and WHO framework. This is the conceptual model. We propose a square model with four various ecological experience, spatial perception, healthy perception, and spatial certification. The core pathway is ecological exploitation to spatial perception to health to certification. This is the study area method. This study is based on Dongquan village in Jinan, China. We selected 176 questionnaire and conducted field observation. The data were analyzed using PRF structural equilibrium modeling. This is the measure model measurement model. The measurement model shows good reliability and validate data. All indection meet standard confirming the observations of the contractions. Structure model. The model shows good fit with SRMR records 0.073 and stronger experience power. For example, special certification has an R over 0.654. This is the path results. Ecological experience strongly influencing spatial perception beta records 0.691. Spectral presentation effect health perception beta record 0.592, and health perception drives certification beta records 0.447, a China medicine effect in conference behavior and discuss. Field observations show that studied and green space attraction longer stage and more social interaction. This supports the ecological perceptual mechanism. Conclusion. In conclusion, ecological environment improve rural public space quality through perception health pathway. This finding supports health oriented and ecological based design strategies. That's all. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Wen, thank you very much, Wen, for that interesting presentation, looking into the issue of ecology and perceptual factors you were talking about, and how they shape the quality of the rural public spaces. I believe it's in China. I think it's a very interesting idea that you were trying to establish how the mechanism works.
Thank you.
The ecology of the surrounding of rural areas are generally full of nature, and therefore has a tendency to contribute to the feeling of satisfaction and health as perceived by the residents in living in such places. Now, before we go into making comments, before I make comments, I would like to request anyone in the audience who has been listening and following up the presentation to raise any questions if you have any questions. Do you have any questions? Any one of you who's in the audience, please? Shenyang, Ikram, or Imain? Do you have any questions?
I have a question. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask Dr. Wang, why is spatial perception so important in your models?
Okay, thank you for question. Spatial perception is a key method because environmental meaning do not degrading influencing behavior or health outcomes. The must first be interpreted through perception. This is consistent with the environmental behavior theory. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for that question and the answer. If anyone else has any questions? No, it doesn't look like. So you were saying when this model that you have developed in this research could be used to ascertain the quality of experience among the elderly and the aging population in other contexts as well. Am I right? Not necessarily in rural context. Can they be employed to ascertain the spatial perception and quality as experienced by the people, aging, if at all, in other circumstances? Can you hear me? Wang? Wang, yeah.
Sorry.
Did you understand what I was asking?
Sorry.
My question is whether this model that you have produced can it be applied in other situations outside the rural areas?
Yes, yes.
I see. So it's not necessarily unique to rural areas. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Can I ask you a question about the ecological aspect of it? We know the ecology of rural areas is abundance of nature. How did you actually measure the ecological parameters?
Ecological focus do not effectively affect health perception. They first influence spatial perception, which the affects persuade health. So the industrial pathway is stronger than the different one. Thank you.
All
Sorry.
right. Okay. Thank you very much. I think,
Thank
yes,
you.
that's a very relevant point. Yes. Is there anything else you want to add? No. All right. In this case, I must thank Wang for that very interesting first presentation, which is dealing with the idea of ecological and perceptual factors that shape the age-friendly quality in rural public spaces in China, which has led to a discovery and establishment of a very meaningful and effective model that can be used to ascertain the people's perceptions and spatial qualities, not only in rural areas. That's, I think, the most important thing. Although it has been used in rural areas, it is a model that can be applied in all kinds of other circumstances, and therefore we would benefit tremendously from that model to evaluate how people perceive the surrounding. Thank you very much, Wang, and I wish you good luck with your further research. Let's move on
Thank you.
because our time is now limited, and we will move on to the second presenter, Chen Yang. Could you start presenting, Chen
Okay.
Yang?
Okay.
Yeah, we can see it. Please go
Can you
ahead.
see?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Yang Chen from UITM. Today, I will present my study titled Thermospatial Structures for Rural Dwellings, Environmental Behavior Analysis in Northern China. This research explores how spatial design influences thermal comfort and housing satisfaction in rural residential environments. 1. Background and research gap. In recent decades, rural areas in northern China have undergone rapid transformation. Many traditional courtyard houses have been replaced by modern character dwellings that often ignore local climate conditions. Traditional courtyard houses develop passive environmental structures such as shading, ventilation, and spatial buffering. Research gap. Although previous studies have examined thermal performance or ventricular architecture, few studies integrate spatial configuration, thermal comfort, and housing satisfaction. Use PLS same in rural China. Therefore, this study aims to bridge this gap by linking architectural design, environmental perception, and human behaviors. 2. Research objectives. This study has 4 objectives. First, to compare the thermal performance of vernacular and modern rural dwellings. Second, to analyze how courtyard configuration and building materials influences thermal conditions. Third, to explore the relationship between spatial configuration, thermal comfort, and housing satisfaction. Finally, to propose climate responsive rural housing design strategies. 3. Conceptual framework. This study develops a conceptual framework based on the environmental behavior theory. This model includes six variables: dwelling type, spatial configuration, building materials, courtyard configuration, thermal comfort, housing satisfaction. Based on this framework, 8 hypotheses was proposed to examine how architectural spatial structures influences environmental perception and residential satisfaction. 4. Study location. This study was conducted in a rural village in Handan City, Hebei Province, northern China. This region experiences hot summers and cold winters, with large seasonal temperature differences. This village contains both traditional courtyard houses and modern dwellings, providing a suitable setting for comparative analysis. 5. Methodology. A field questionnaire survey was conducted during the summer. The survey investigated thermal perception, spatial characteristics, adaptive behaviors, housing satisfaction, to analyze the relationship between variables the study placed, PLS. This method also serves to evaluate complex relationship between architectural design and human behaviors. 6. Results. The measurement model demonstrates the good reliability and validity. The strategy model reveals several significant relationships. First, dwelling type significantly affects thermal comfort, courtyard configuration, and spatial configuration. Second, spatial configuration positively influences housing satisfaction. This finding highlights the important role of architectural spatial design in shaping environmental perception. 7. Key finding. 4 key finding. First, vernacular courtyard houses provided better ventilation and a lower risk of overheating. Second, courtyards function as microclimate regulators. Third, spatial configuration mediates the relationship between architecture and housing satisfaction. Finally, occupant behaviors adaptation enhances perceived comfort. This finding emphasizes the integration between space, climate, and human behavior. 8. Design implication. Based on these findings, several design implications can be proposed. First, reintegrating courtyards can improve ventilation and important quietude. Second, a semi-outdoor transitional space such as verandas or corridors and create effective thermal buffer zones. Third, climate adaptive building environment combining traditional materials and modern insulation can improve the thermal performance. Finally, behavior-oriented spatial design can support residential seasonal adaptive activities. This strategies demonstrate how vernacular knowledge can inform sustainable rural housing design. In conclusion, dwelling type strategy influences thermal comfort in rural housing. Traditional courtyard houses offer valuable passive environment strategies. Spatial configuration also plays an important role in linking thermal environment and housing satisfaction. Future rural housing development should integrate vernacular design principles with modern construction technologies to create climate responsive and sustainable rural living environments. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Shen Yang, for that very interesting presentation about the
thank you.
Thermal spatial strategies for rural dwellings from an environment behavior point of view applied to northern China. I see similarities in some sense between the presentation of you and the one that we just concluded previously, which was also looking at aging population in rural areas. And it's an interesting observation that the climatic aspects of vernacular-oriented architecture has a great contribution to be made to the housing satisfaction of the residents of these areas. Now, before I comment and ask any questions, let me open the floor for discussion and see if anyone has any questions. Maybe Wang has a question.
Hello, I have a question, Professor.
Yeah.
Hello, Chen Yang, Dr. Chen Yang. I have a question. What is the knowledge of your research? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. The novelty lies in integrating spatial configuration, thermal comfort, and housing satisfaction into a single analytical model. This provided a more comprehensive understanding of environmental behavior relationship in rural housing. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for your answer. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you for that question and the answer. Yes, I think that's a very valid question because I remember Chen was presenting at the very beginning that there are studies related to this, but there are no studies that incorporate all those three aspects that were being put together with spatial configuration and environment behavior and all of those things into one model. So in that sense, it's a new approach to the issue, which is very interesting. I have is there anyone else who has any other questions? Maybe Pamela or Iman? Anyone else has anything to raise? No, it doesn't look like it. I just have a small question because in your presentation, you were looking at spatial configuration. And while doing that, you also measured courtyard configuration and you kept talking about courtyards. And I was curious, although we know usually in most vernacular houses, there are courtyards. Are there courtyards in all the houses in vernacular rural areas in China and modern houses in China also? Are courtyards always present? Or are there houses that don't have courtyards? Did you come across many?
Yes, thank you for your question. Because in China, modern dwellings, the courtyard is so small. I can show you the picture.
Yeah, the modern buildings are so small, there is no space for courtyards.
yeah, modern, you can like this. This modern, the courtyard so small because so the courtyard knows have the gene to like this. The before the vernacular dwellings and
Yeah,
the back modern dwelling so different.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like
behind,
this modern dwellings three. The courtyard very small,
yeah,
so
yeah,
different the vernacular dwellings.
yeah. So you're saying, no, it's not only the size of the courtyard, but also the configuration of the courtyard, isn't it? The configuration
Yes,
of the courtyard
yes. The
contributes
courtyard
tremendous.
configuration different.
What kind of configurations are, in your opinion, are the most appropriate for bringing health benefits for the microclimate, as you observed? What kind of configurations? Rectangular, square, linear? Is there any particular kind of configuration which may be desirable or better?
Yeah, the courtyard. The configuration have the so many landscape
Hmm.
and and squares is very better.
I see. Square is
Okay,
better,
yeah,
more, yeah, because all the
okay,
sides will bring ventilation and bring light
yeah,
and reduce.
okay. Thank you,
All right, great. Thank you very much. I would like to
thank you,
follow up
doctor.
with you, follow up with your study, which is about vernacular, and I have a particular interest in vernacular. So maybe I will find your email address and write to you and see how we can look at your work. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you
Okay,
very much. So we'll move on to the next presentation, which is from Pamela, who is going to talk to us about a comparative analysis on pedestrian experience in Metro Manila in mixed-use development. Pamela, it's over to you.
Good day, everyone. Can you see my screen?
We can see it. Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. So good day, everyone. We are presenting together with my co-author our research entitled A Comparative Analysis on Pedestrian Experience in Metro Manila Mixed-Use Developments. So this study explores how walkability is shaped in three of the country's most prominent business districts and why pedestrian experience matters in the context of rapid urbanization. So, Metro Manila, as noted by Regmi, is one of the fastest urbanizing regions in Asia, ranking 14 among the world's 20 megacities. So, with this growth comes significant challenges, which are mobility and pedestrian accessibility being among the most pressing issues. So for the millions of commuters and working class residents, walking is not just a convenience, but a necessity. It connects public transit to final destinations, supports health, reduces pollution, and fosters community cohesion. Yet, despite these benefits, pedestrian walkability is often overlooked in the Philippine urban planning and budgeting. So this gap is what motivated our research. So our study focuses on three major districts: the Bonifacio Global City, Makati Central Business District, and Ortigas Center. So we asked, how do these areas facilitate or hinder pedestrian movement and experience? So to answer this, we used two frameworks, the Global Walkability Index and the Perceived Walkability Framework. Our objectives were to evaluate streetscape quality using the Global Walkability Index, and then assess user perception through the Perceived Walkability Framework, and lastly, to have a comparative study of walkability experiences across these districts. So for our methodology, we employed a qualitative multi-layered research design. This included objective measures, spatial mapping, and participant surveys. So by triangulating these approaches, we captured both the physical infrastructure and the lived experiences of pedestrians. Importantly, we adapted the Global Walkability Index to reflect Philippine conditions, accounting for uneven sidewalks, heavy traffic, and environmental factors such as climate and air quality. Alongside this, we administered a pedestrian experience survey based on Ye et al.'s perceived walkability framework using diverse demographic perspectives were represented. So for the case study sites, the selected sites each has similarities as well as intersections in heavy urban networks and their differences in pedestrian infrastructure. And through this, we examined 3 distinct typologies of each areas. So for BGC, it's an on-grade intersection crosswalk, while for Makati, it's an underground crossings. And for Itriga Center, it's elevated plazas. So each represents a unique urban philosophy. For example, for BGC, emphasizes large-scale crosswalks. Makati invests in expansive underground systems, while Ortigas integrates elevated walkways with environmental design principles. So for our findings, so for the first site, the BGC McKinley Parkway, or which specifically the area is the 32nd Street intersection. It features such as refuge islands and planting strips, enhanced both safety and environmental quality. The crosswalk's proximity to commercial and educational establishments created dynamic pedestrian flows, regulated efficiently by traffic signals. So this reflects also BGC's deliberate investment on pedestrian-friendly infrastructure. So for Makati, the underground underpass offered comfort by shielding pedestrians from weather and traffic, with air conditioning further enhancing usability. However, greenery was limited to the surface level planting strips, and the underpass lacked environmental integration. This shows also a trade-off. While functional and protective, the design sacrifices the ecological and aesthetic dimensions. So for Ortigas Center, distinguished itself with its elevated plaza. There are security kiosks that reinforces safety, while the circular dome allowed natural light to filter through the road. It harmonizes the built and natural environment. So seating and shaded canopies encourage lingering and social interaction, making the space not just a passageway but also a social hub. So for the findings across all sites, the pedestrians were observed walking individually or in small groups, often using mobile phones, highlighting the casual, responsive nature of movement. And overall, the typologies on grade, underground, and elevated shape the experiences differently, influencing the safety, the accessibility, the atmosphere, and the social interaction. So more importantly, the environmental integration and the inclusiveness emerged as essential dimensions of walkability, extending beyond the circulation to the sustainability and the social well-being. So for the comparative analysis, it revealed that the BGC consistently scored highest in the safety, accessibility, and cleanliness, and even considered pet friendliness. So for the Makati and Ortigas, while offering unique strengths, it showed gaps in these parameters. So this underscores the walkability is context sensitive, shaped by cultural expectations, social economic realities, and the urban form. For the working class commuters, the walkability is not really a leisure. It is a necessity tied to the productivity, the health, and the quality of life. So thus, the pedestrian-centric design should not only be aesthetic, but also a matter of social equity. So moreover, the walkable streets reduce reliance on cars, the lower emissions, and foster community cohesion. So for the hybrid approach, combining the global frameworks with the adapting it to the localized parameters proves that it's valuable. So for instance, for the pet friendliness may not really appear in the global indices, but it is highly relevant in the BGC's evolving urban lifestyle. So to conclude, our study affirms that walkability is a cornerstone of livable cities. It is not a luxury, but a right and necessity. So for Metro Manila's challenge is to embed pedestrian-centric principles into urban planning, shifting away from car-centric models. BGC shows that it is what is possible with deliberate investment, while Makati and Ortigas reminds us of the work still needed. Upon evaluation of the walkability and the user perception of these streetscapes, it emphasizes on the importance of safety, accessibility, and the cleanliness of these areas. So this also underscores the walkability is context sensitive and shaped by the culture and socio-economic aspects, and also the urban form. So for Makati and Ortigas, while offering unique strengths, it's also showed gaps based on these parameters. So for future research, it could expand to broader networks, incorporate based on the weather conditions, and leverage using GIS or sensor-based tools for real-time feedback, and interdisciplinary approaches linking urban design with public health and environmental science could also further enrich these insights. So by also refining the future methodologies or next methodologies and advocating for pedestrian focused policies, we can actually build cities that are not only functional but also pedestrian friendly, where walking is celebrated as the most democratic form of mobility. So these are our references. So that concludes our presentation, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Pamela, for the very interesting presentation comparing 3 separate districts in terms of walkability and facilitation of it. Let me open the floor for discussion and see if any one of you in the audience, Wang or Chen Yang, has any questions from Pamela.
Okay, I have a question. Ask you. Can the funding be applied to the other regions?
Other areas, I think so.
Yeah.
It also affects that, but considering these areas are in Metro Manila, there are the 3 of the most we see that the funding is the development of the areas are supported by their government. So I think most likely they have for the budget they have near budget allocations.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Hello, I have a question, Pamela. What is the key implication of your study? Key.
Okay. So with our study, we saw what could be the most efficient or applicable urban strategies in Metro Manila's developments. So for if it is it on ground, it would be more safe or efficient, or could it have elevated walkways like the one in Ortigas, and then the other one is underground walkways or intersection be more efficient or be safe for the focusing on the pedestrian safety and accessibility.
Okay, thanks for your answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those very interesting questions as well. I have a very small question actually. You were referring to, of course, people walking around the streets, and one of the criteria, one of the aspects that you were measuring extensively is pet friendliness. And that's very interesting because it seems to imply somehow facilitating walking in the cities requires consideration about the animals or pets for that matter. Is that an outstanding phenomenon in Malay in this particular city, or what is the situation?
Yeah, actually, in the Philippines, more more people are inclined into having more pets rather than children in the
I
Philippines.
see.
So
Really?
yeah, they are. I think I don't know if it's in the generation, but I see that there are a lot of people who carry their pets most of the time. Even bring them inside the mall. They actually bring them everywhere. So wherever I go to any places, even if it's a CBD, there are still pets who are with their pet parents. They call it pet parents. So
I see.
especially in the BGC area, yeah, every weekend there are a lot of people with their pets.
Yeah. So in this situation, what is implied by pet friendliness? The whole environment has to have all kinds of facilities to make these pets somehow be healthy and comfortable and so on. What are the things that needs to be done in a pet-friendly walk situation?
So first is they have like a waste management area, and then it should have a wider space, wider walkways, and especially for vehicular. It's important that there would the traffic signals are can be seen, or it's
Yeah.
efficient, so that whenever if they have on ground, if the people will be walking on ground, definitely the vehicle should really stop. So I think that's
I
the
see.
based on our observations.
Just another small question on the same line of pets. I mean, there are lots of pets, like let's say, for example, big dogs. Some people have huge dogs sometimes, isn't it? Does that lead to confrontations and issues of the pets fighting each other and things like that on those streets?
Okay. So far, what I've seen, and based on based on the rules, I think, of the developments, they should be on leash, on leash, so they
On
should
leash,
not
yes,
be roaming around.
always.
They should not be free roaming around. They should also have their diapers, so they
Oh,
should be.
yeah,
And then when it comes to
yeah.
approaching, we haven't observed any
Quarrels and
collision.
confrontation, because it happens usually. A dog will bark at another dog, and they can get into some fights and stuff like that. And people can be terrified when the dogs, sometimes scary dogs, isn't it? So I believe it's an interesting area to go and look at the impact of pets on walking in streets, isn't it? Yeah, it sounds like
They have leash. It's important that they have a leash, and then if ever they won't be on leash, there would be a security who will
yeah.
approach them and tell them to carry or have
Okay, maybe find the pet parents if they don't do
yeah.
that, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's a complex operation. Yeah, it sounds very interesting. Great. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if we have the final presenter. Nurulia has joined, but our last presenter is supposed to be Van Saula. Is Van around here?
Yes, I'm
Van?
here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Are you present? Van. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Right. In this case, thank you very much, Pamela, for that very interesting presentation. One of my students is also doing a study about walking, and maybe we will get in touch with you to get some advice from you. But there are very complex and interesting issues that seems to arise, and walking is definitely a very valid issue to be discussed and promoted in the modern urban development. Thank you very much. All right, let's move on to the final presenter, the Van Sauda, who is going to talk to us about Islamic work ethics in organizations, principles, practices, and contemporary challenges. It's over to you.
All right. Thank you. Good morning, respected Chair.
Yeah, we
fellow
can see. Please go
researchers.
ahead. Please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you as
Okay,
well. Please
all
go
right.
ahead.
Okay. Good morning, respected Chair and fellow researchers. My name is Wan Sauda. So today I'm presenting our study title Islamic Work Ethic in Organization, Principles, Practices and Contemporary Challenges. So this research is a collaboration between researchers from University Polytechnic Malaysia, University Technology Mara Perak, and Victoria University of Wellington, New Zealand. Okay. So we go next. Islamic work ethic is fundamentally grounded in moral, ethical, and spiritual principles derived from the Quran and Sunnah. These values shape not only individual behavior, but also organizational culture. Employees who practice these values tend to demonstrate stronger teamwork, higher accountability, and greater social responsibility, which ultimately contribute to a healthier work environment. However, in today's globalized and competitive world, many Islamic institutions still struggle to fully implement these values despite their proven benefits. One of the key issues is the gap in integrating spiritual and social values into daily work practices, which can sometimes lead to unethical behavior in the workplace. Therefore, this study aims to explore experts' perceptions regarding the core principles of Islamic work ethic, how these principles are translated into practice, and the current challenges faced by organizations. As illustrated in this framework, core Islamic values such as amanah, integrity, discipline, ihsan, and social responsibility influence ethical work practices, which then lead to positive organizational outcomes. However, these are also affected by modern challenges like materialism and globalization pressures. Next, I will briefly explain the methodology of this study. This research adopts a qualitative case study design as it allows for an in-depth understanding of Islamic work ethic practices in organizational settings. We use purposive sampling involving 7 experts from public universities and selected Islamic institutions in Malaysia. Data were collected through semi-structured interviews, which enable flexibility while still focusing on key research themes. For data analysis, we applied thematic analysis using Atlas TI to systematically identify patterns and key themes from the interview data. The table shown summarizes the participants involved in the study. So we move to the findings. I have made 3 teams. The team 1, I will begin with team 1, the concept of Islamic work ethic. This concept is rooted in Tawhid as foundation, where work is based on faith, worship, and trust entrusted to humans. Work is also viewed as worship and trustworthiness, meaning every task carries a spiritual and moral dimension, not just an economic function. Another key element is intention and proper execution of work, where actions must align with Sharia principles. In addition, this concept is based on textual evidence or naqli, including the Quran, Hadith, and Uruf, which is ensuring both religious guidance and relevance to local realities. It also emphasizes good attitudes and integrity, such as trustworthiness, honesty, and proper manners. At the same time, work must follow the boundaries of halal and haram, meaning all practices are within the limits of Sharia. Importantly, it promotes a balance of the worldly life and the hereafter, combining worldly success with spiritual values. Finally, embracing the values of the Islamic work ethic leads to professionalism, trustworthiness, benevolence, and excellence for both individuals and organizations. Overall, this theme highlights a holistic approach to work, combining faith, ethics, and practice. Moving on to Theme 2, Practices and Contemporary Challenges. Islamic work ethics contribute to the formation of self-discipline, personality, producing discipline and integrity-driven workers. However, there are individual internal challenges where awareness, understanding, and personal commitment influence how these values are practiced. In modern workplace, KPI pressure and materialistic culture often shift focus toward performance and profit, reducing attention to spiritual values. There is also the dominance of Western system and values, where capitalist and materialistic frameworks challenge the sustainability of Islamic work ethics. Additionally, the influence of technology and social media creates work-worship conflicts and affects focus. Another issue is the absence of formal institutionalization, where these values are practiced informally and not fully translated into organizational policies. Overall, this theme highlights the gap between ideal values and actual practice. Finally, theme 3 focuses on Islamic work ethic in organizations. It begins with universal and inclusive values, showing that Islamic work ethics are suitable in a pluralistic society. This is supported by the concept of Rahmatan lil Alamin, where values like trust, justice, benevolence, and mercy benefit all people regardless of background. There is also a need for value-based organizational policy, where Islamic work ethics are formally implemented as guidelines. Leadership is important, especially leadership through example, where ethical leaders promote and strengthen these values. Organizations should also adopt a holistic performance management system, evaluating not only results, but also attitudes, behavior, and moral values. Lastly, ethical and effective governance ensures integrity, strengthen organizational sustainability, and improve overall performance. Overall, this theme shows how Islamic work ethics can be practically embedded within organizations. Now moving to the discussion, this section highlights 3 themes. First, the concept of Islamic work ethic. It is based on Tawheed, work as worship, ibadah, and trust is amanah. There are also 4 conditions: lawful work, correct intention, prioritizing core duties, and excellent in performance. It emphasizes integrity, halal haram boundaries, moral conduct, and alignment with Sharia. These principles also support Islamic corporate governance, transparency, accountability, and also justice. Second, practices and contemporary challenges. Islamic work ethics promote sincerity, professionalism, integrity, itqan, or we call it as excellent, and well-being. They also enhance productivity and organizational quality. However, key challenges include KPI pressure, materialism, weak understanding, tech influence, Western values, and lack of formal policy integration. Third, Islamic work ethic in organizations. It promotes universal and inclusive values suitable for diverse settings. It requires value-based policies, exemplary leadership, and holistic performance system. It also strengthens governance, integrity, sustainability, innovation, collaboration, and inclusivity. In summary, Islamic work ethics remain highly relevant in today's organizational context. So we move to conclusion. Islamic work ethic is a holistic framework based on Tawheed, Amanah, and Ihsan, aligning intention, values, and actions. It strengthens integrity, justice, discipline, and social responsibility for long-term sustainability. However, challenges remain, including materialism, productivity pressure, value conflicts, and weak value-based leadership. It also requires full commitment, lived values, strong leadership, and alignment with Maqasid Sharia. In terms of recommendation, first, formalize Islamic work ethic in HR, human resources policies, performance evaluation, and codes of conduct. Second, strengthen value-based leadership through training and role modeling. Third, continuous education and training on ethics and work as worship. Fourth, support work life and spiritual well-being to prevent burnout. Fifth, future research, conduct action-based studies across sectors, especially in the area of digitalization and globalization. In summary, Islamic work ethics provide a strong foundation for ethical and sustainable organizational success. That's all from me. Thank you.
Done.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Van, for that very insightful presentation about the Islamic work ethics and its presence and principles and practices. And contemporary challenges in the modern societies. I have a couple of questions to raise, but before I do that, I would like to open the floor for discussion. If anyone in the audience is having any questions from Van about the Islamic work ethic principles and practices. Wang or
Hello.
Chenya?
Hello.
Yep. Yes, please go ahead.
Hello, Van. I have a question.
Hello.
What is the main contribution of your study? Contribution?
Can you repeat your question?
What is the main contribution of your study?
Yeah.
That's what he's asking.
Main contribution. So we are based on Islamic principle. So when we talk about main contribution, there is spiritual things that we need to follow within this Islamic. So the study provides a holistic and also practical understanding for Islamic work ethic in contemporary organizations. First, there is core principle, amanah, ihsan, and integrity based on tawhid, just like I said before. And the second one is there is bridges the gap between theoretical values and also actual workplace practices, drew insight from the experts. So the third one is it identifies current challenges, including KPI pressure, materialism, and lack of formal implementation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your answer.
Any other questions?
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
I have a question. So the title is very good. I very thinking. I have the question. What are the limitations of your study? The limitations.
Okay. So for my limitation is the sample is relatively small, which is only involving 7 experts. So the findings may not be generalized to all organizations. Second, the study focuses mainly on expert from Malaysian public universities and Islamic institutions only, not international. The third one is this study is qualitative study where the findings are based on perceptions and interpretation rather than measurable outcomes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I have actually a couple of questions, but I will not raise all of them. This is a very interesting discussion of the value and relevance of Islamic work ethic principles in organization, particularly the contemporary challenges, as you mentioned. In the process of doing that, you mentioned some very interesting concepts. Work as worship seems to be a very unique concept. Worship is holy and so on and so forth, and whereas work is, mundane, practical, everyday things. And the idea of combining these two, work being treated like a holy thing to do, this is a very unique concept, and I don't know how it actually works in practice. And then you also talked about the ideas of halal and haram, which are very unique ideas specific to the Islamic religion and the Sharia that is the foundation of it. On top of that, you also talked about the idea of spiritual well-being in the workplace. I think they are very unique and notably distinctly different kinds of concepts that don't exist in most contemporary modern workplaces. And given the fact that we are living in a pluralistic society with multicultural, communities occupying office spaces, how do you think that these principles can actually be validated and implemented in such situations? Although you mentioned that it is still valid in plural societies. I noticed in your last slide you mentioned that pluralistic societies are able to, but I'm a bit unclear about how because there can be contradictions or people's disagreements about work being treated as a worship. Some people don't necessarily will agree with that. What do you think about that?
All right, thank you for the question. For plural society, just like Malaysia, the implementation does not require imposing religious practice, but rather translating this principle into universal ethical values that are acceptable to all. For example, the concept of halal can be aligned with ethical, lawful, and responsible practices, while spiritual well-being can be framed as employee well-being and purpose at work. In addition, so from the concept itself, Islamic values are meant to bring benefit to all humanity regardless of background. Therefore, this principle can be validated and implemented in plural society by focusing on inclusive, ethical, and human-centered dimension rather than their religious labels.
Right. So you're confident that it is possible to translate and maybe even reword some of these things, because the moment you mention things like Sharia or halal and haram, you know, there can be, all kinds of feelings towards those ideas from others of different cultural backgrounds. Anyway, it's a very interesting study, and you made a great job of presenting the complexity of those ideas and their relevance to the modern day. Thank you very much. So, I have to admit this was a very useful session. All of you talked about and presented very important and relevant issues that are confronting us in the modern world. And most of all the research actually were comprehensively done and presented very well. And we thank you indeed for attending this conference and sharing your knowledge. And we wish you good luck with your future research. Shen, thank you for your email, and I will get in touch with you. I'm particularly interested in the vernacular that you were talking about. Really speaking, I was interested in almost all the 4 papers that were presented. Thank you very much indeed. And with that, I think I will conclude. We'll see you again.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank
you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ranjit.
Yes, Yusuf. We are late a little bit. I'm sorry, but but I think
really sorry about this morning. It was okay with the first breakout, but then along the way towards the end, anyway,
these things happen. These things happen. Yeah. We managed. That the important thing is we had the sessions, and it was a really, really wonderful session with all the very beautiful presentations.
To the participants, our sincere apologies. Thank you very much for staying with us, and do join us for our face-to-face tomorrow. By the way, Ranjit, you are in Bahrain now, is it?
Right now, yes.
Yes. How is your safety condition?
No, there are no issues. Although, you hear the news about the missiles and drones and this and that, they are happening here and there. And I live very close to the American base. And on the 28th, when it first happened, there were about 30 missiles falling around me. And I went to a safe place. But now I'm back in my apartment. And, occasionally you hear things happening, but it's not as bad as it is presented in the news media.
How do you? I mean, what's living like there now? Is it not normal, or is it?
Life is happening normal. Yes, people are on the streets, shops are open, restaurants are functioning. Yeah, things are going on. Only thing, the universities have moved on to online teaching, so we use Microsoft Teams and Blackboard and stuff like that, and taking precautions. It does happen. You hear sirens, you hear bombs falling here and there, but it's not as bad as it's presented in the news. Yeah, we are fine. We are safe. Great.
Stay safe.
Wish us good luck.
Stay safe, and see you again in the next conference.
Sure.
Right. Okay. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye all. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.